A nuclear warning, a direct threat, and a line that could redraw the red lines of this war. Moscow says if NATO hands nuclear capability to Kyiv, Russia will respond in kind. Former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev is now openly talking about the use of non-strategic nuclear weapons. The claim follows explosive allegations from Russia's Foreign Intelligence Service that the UK and France are exploring options to provide Ukraine with nuclear-related capabilities. The statement was blunt, unfiltered, and unmistakably escalatory. Dmitry Medvedev, deputy chairman of Russia's Security Council and former president, warned that if NATO countries supply nuclear weapons or nuclear components to Ukraine, Moscow would respond with nuclear force. Speaking to RT, Medvedev said such a move would amount to the direct transfer of nuclear weapons to a country at war, and that, he argued, would fundamentally change the conflict. The warning follows claims from Russia's Foreign Intelligence Service, the SVR, alleging that the United Kingdom and France are exploring options to provide Ukraine with nuclear-related capabilities. According to Moscow, this could involve covert transfers of European-made components, equipment, or technologies. Russian officials further alleged that any resulting capability might be presented publicly as a domestic Ukrainian development. Neither London nor Paris has confirmed such plans. No public evidence has been produced. Medvedev escalated further. He said Russia would be forced to use any means at its disposal, including non-strategic nuclear weapons, if such a scenario unfolded. He also warned that retaliation would not necessarily stop at Ukrainian territory. Supplier nations, he suggested, could themselves become targets in what he described as a symmetrical response. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov called the alleged plans potentially very dangerous, arguing they would undermine the global nuclear non-proliferation regime. The remarks come amid already heightened tensions between Russia and NATO countries over military aid, sanctions, and battlefield developments in Ukraine. Nuclear rhetoric has surfaced periodically throughout the war, but each time it raises fresh concerns about escalation. The war in Ukraine erupted in February 2022 when Russia launched what it called a special military operation. Kyiv and its Western allies denounced it as a full-scale invasion, a seismic moment that shattered Europe's post-Cold War order. Since then, the battlefield has evolved, and so has the West's response. What began as shipments of defensive gear has grown into a pipeline of advanced missile systems, heavy artillery, and sophisticated air defense. Now, with nuclear allegations resurfacing in the rhetoric, the temperature is raising again. The stakes are no longer just territorial or strategic, they are existential, and the shadow hanging over Europe feels darker than ever.
The enemy uses all kinds of ways of using terrorist attacks. They will even stoop as low as using dirty nuclear weapons, probably knowing how it's going to end ultimately.
They were unable to inflict a strategic defeat upon Russia on the battlefield. That is why the enemy is now resorting to individual and mass terror. This includes the shelling of cities, acts of sabotage against critical infrastructure, and assassination attempts on representatives of state and military authorities. And here's another clear example, what happened yesterday at Savyolovsky railway station.
But it's already quite clear now that, from all indications, this kind of
standard recruitment practice these days, conducted through the internet, most probably, wouldn't you say? They forced an explosive device upon an individual and then remotely detonated both the person and the presumed target of the assault, which, in this particular instance, were personnel from the Ministry of Internal Affairs. Most likely,
Alexander Vasilievich and I were just discussing. He didn't even know anything. This is the result of such criminal, careless behavior.
Or together with other security agencies, the FSB must enhance the level of protection for officials of the Ministry of Defense, the Defense Industrial Complex, representatives of state and municipal authorities, and employees in education and the social sphere, especially in our historical and border regions.
This also fully applies to public opinion leaders, journalists, and volunteers who are constantly threatened by the Kyiv regime. We're talking about a possible explosion of our gas systems on the Black Sea floor. This refers to the so-called Turk Stream and Blue Stream, which just can't seem to calm down.
They don't know what else they can possibly do to completely destroy this peaceful process, which is attempting to achieve a settlement through diplomatic means.
They are doing everything they can to stage some kind of provocation and destroy all that has been so carefully, we might say, achieved on this negotiation track. But we'll discuss that in a closed session. The results of the work
of ways of using terrorist attacks. They will even stoop as low as using dirty nuclear weapons, probably knowing how it's going to end ultimately.
Times of India videos, your daily dose of India and the world. Global news, different views, and sharp analysis.
Pressure of expectation from your fans, your supporters.
That is often served as a backdrop for several Bollywood.
You're not a brute majority anymore. If you individually take out Tehran.
Making sense of global conflicts. Tracking the new emerging world order.
Strike on Israeli military bases.
A multi-pronged.
To stay out of harm's way as Israel started bombing targets across.
Understanding changing alliances in a polarized world. Tune into TOI videos for all this and more. Click on the bell icon to subscribe and never miss an update.